Hello and welcome to the No Keystone Veteran Guide. Okay, for those of you looking for the TLDR or just the pips, here you go. For everyone else, I'm going to break down the required pips and why they are needed. This build is rather flexible and you could probably give it any keystone other than the weapon specialist and it would work just fine. The primary downside in this build is it is headshot reliant and you have to use your grenades effectively. If you aren't tapping heads, your damage goes down as much as 50%, and if you aren't using your grenades effectively, you will find yourself swarmed rather quickly. Let's get on to the primary nodes. Longshot is going to be our first damage multiplier. From there, we go down and either choose crack or frag grenade. In this example build, we went frag. In most instances, I find the team needs crack grenades more as crushers are a pain. Grenade Tinkerer is a must. Either Survivalist or Fire Team is good here. In this instance, I'm going to be playing with random, so we do Survivalist, as it means even if the teammates steal all the ammo drops, I still have an ammo supply. Twin Blast is good as it increases our grenade effectiveness by 20%, and there is always a gap in the throw. So with our frag grenades, it's a 20% chance of roughly double area. With crack grenades, often crushers attack in groups of 4 or 5 on harder difficulties, and the gap means the grenades tend to stick to different targets, but it's not always the case. On the topic of crack grenades, throw them a little high when aiming at carapace targets, as the stick function on the crack grenades tends to work more consistently having them snap down than it would having them snap up. Demolition Stockpile is one of the strongest veteran perks. Their grenades are very strong and it also decreases the reliability on pickups. This in combination with Scavenger means you are not reliant on pickups and your teammates can steal everything, and although it would be annoying, it is not game ending for you. Grenadier is nice to have. It stacks nicely with Demolition Stockpile to allow you to stock an extra grenade when things are slow, so you can use it when things get hectic. Theoretically, we could use any of the F abilities here, but Voice of Command with Duty and Honor is very strong for increasing survivability for the team, and most importantly, for ourselves. I find without this, the Veteran is very squishy. Do not grab the pip on the right side unless you are playing with people you know on a level you know you can carry. The increase in cooldown means you can use the ability a lot less, and it is one of your key abilities for survival. In most instances, we are going to be using it selfishly to grant us temporary toughness. The fact it's the teammates is more of a side objective than anything else. Precision Strikes is a massive damage increase for a single pip. It also stacks nicely with Longshot, Superiority Complex, and Bring It Down. Between these four, it becomes a lot easier to kill most elites, and they really help to eliminate crushers and monstrosities who I find to be the biggest threats on the highest difficulties. If you are using a las weapon, Shock Trooper is a must. If not, you could swap it for Deadshot for the additional damage. Over here, you can see I went Born Leader for the additional survivability for the team. But for the Emperor is a valid option as the damage will multiply with everything else for some really nasty burst. Tactical Awareness is very nice to have in combination with Voice of Command to skyrocket survivability. That's about it for key pips. The last one I spent on Rending Strikes as a nice little top up for our damage output. Honestly, for the Emperor, probably a better option. It also would not be hard to get Focus Fire to work in this build, but I don't like it, so I'm not taking it. Let's move on to gear. It's important to have a variety of tools as a veteran. In this case, we have 3 choices: the grenade, the melee, and the gun. This build sets up to use all 3 effectively without focusing hard on a single one, so it's important your choices have some level of synergy, as you will be using all 3. I'll give you a few examples. If you'd go Crack Grenade for heavy targets, you will need a weapon for spam mobs. In this case, we can go with the Devil Claw Sword. Now we need something that could deal with spammed out ranged elites such as Gunners, so I bring a Recon Las. It's also good against non-carapace melee elites such as Ragers, which are no fun to fight in melee. We swap weapon per scenario it fits, and boom, it's rather effective. Alternatively, if we do the Frag Grenade, we can pair it with the Chain Axe for melee elites such as Ragers, Crushers, and Maulers. Unlike the Devil Claw Sword, the Chain Axe can rev and stun Ragers, making fighting them a lot smoother. We can use the Plasma Gun to round off this build, as it's good with dealing with enemies when they begin to ball up. The Plasma Gun doesn't use the Shock Trooper node. So in this example, we remove the Shock Trooper and replace it for the Emperor, giving us that additional little bit of burst. The upside to this build is the adaptability in both equipment choice and who you can be paired with. If you have a pair of psykers dealing with the elites, then you can swap out your gear and deal with mobs. If you have 2 zealots clearing all the mobs, then you can set up and deal with the elites. All you have to do is swap out equipment. You don't need to change talents or fundamentals of the build. Most of the time, you don't even really have to change how you play. The downside is the focus on weak spot damage means that you have to hit weak points or your damage will plummet. Headshots are important, even in melee. For curios, I would focus them on base survivability stats. I try to get a wound rolled out on at least one of them, and toughness and HP for the base rolls of the other two. For secondary rolls, corruption is really nice, as well as toughness, health, and or ability regen. Kinda just mix and match them as you feel comfortable. Gameplay. Gameplay varies as equipment is rather open, but the biggest thing is always be using the right tool for the job. If you are being hit by maulers, having your recon lands out and plinking at them when you have a chain axe sitting on your back is not optimal. It's not the end of the world though. As long as you are using the right tool for the job most of the time, and activating voice of command whenever things get hairy, you should be fine. Because of tactical awareness, your voice comes back very quickly while fighting specialists. Most ranged enemies that you can tag are considered specialists, so if you are forced to use your ability, back off for a bit and target them down, until it comes back. Sorry, the how to play the build here is rather short. Making a build that opens up equipment so much kinda makes it impossible to pin down a "this is the way to win" statement. But hey, the build lets me play my favorite weapons and have them work. Chain axe recon lands, by the way. It's why I run it. Anyway, that's all for now. Have a nice day. The next one I make is probably going to be on Smite Psyker. He gives off a lot of Palpatine vibes, and I'm kinda all about that.
Remember, right tool for the job. Melee them. What is your melee, by the way? So if you're using just like the base las gun, your melee should be something that's good against, like okay against big guys and okay against little guys. It shouldn't be something specific.
It is that sword that I had initially.
Oh, the heavy blade?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the heavy blade is really good against spam ads.
See, I'll give you all the footage that is what you're not supposed to do.